patch ourselves up at least.
Alright, so I don't need to see anymore. I basically understand what the struggle is all about. It's basically the same mode as the campaign, but without the story. It's just you fighting through the levels and trying to survive, you fighting through the levels. It's like Metal Gear Survive, but without the actual story of Metal Gear. It's like an inclusions. So this game did it better than Metal Gear Survive because that game actually charged you for doing that bullshit. But yeah, this is not actually a story. The struggle isn't a story at all. It's just an extra additive mission for you to just run around and shoot things and get to the end of the game shooting things and surviving through things. It's nothing more than to survive. It's not even a loot and shoot. It's just giving you ammunition and missions and have a timer in order for you to survive. So I thought it was going to be additional stories, but it's not. So the struggle isn't actually a story or anything. It's just you doing the same missions over and over again in different situations, and then someone narrating um, a text or narrating words to put it like it's actually a story. Um, there were introduction animation to this story, the struggle, but that's it. Every other thing with regards to the character and this other NPC, which is now a character, um, are done through actually word manipulation of the character themselves in their mouths. But they're not actually saying the words or anything, and nothing that they're just saying or doing is actually showing any type of animation with regards to the story. The story itself was within the missions at the beginning of the game. So everything else in relations to the game is simply a copy and paste of the main campaign but without a story. So I'm just going to give it a point for adding it into the actual game itself, but there's nothing new and innovative about it. Nothing with regards to its actual play style. Nothing with regards to its actual features. Nothing with regards to its actual dynamics or setups. Inventory management is pretty much the same.
We must be getting close.
The weapons are the same. The use of weapons. They only give you a rocket launcher ahead of time. That's it. And they give you a kind of time looking thing. With you see how fast you could do the mission before it's actually over. So it's not really that important whatsoever at all. It's actually kind of boring if you think about it. I mean, it's like it's this belongs in a raid feature. In fact, you could basically say this is the raid feature, um, without the cooperation of someone else joining you. That's what this is. This is a timer raid feature that they added, but without you cooperating with another player within that mode. So that's all this is. Um, I've beat like two or three of them, and then this is the fourth one. I'm not interested in going on any further. Um, so that's all I gotta say with regards to that. The struggle is pretty much a copy and paste of the campaign, but without the campaign. So I'm just going to give it 1.4. That added feature towards the game. Nothing new about the playstyle. And them giving you certain high-level weapons ahead of time is simply a little additive so you can enjoy the mode because there's not much to do within that mode. So um, I would subtract points away from them actually not having a story, but I actually give it a point for them having decency to actually develop somewhat of a story within the DLC. So it's kind of like it added, but then it subtracted as well, not having anything innovative. So all in all, I would say just for an entertainment value is the reason why it's a one. Otherwise, it would have cancel itself out, and it would have been a zero. Made no point to have it in there if it is not actually an inclusion DLC of something extra. It's just they cut out certain sections of the game and they repackage it and call it additional content, but it's not really. It's just a cutout of what's already in the game. It's not like they created something new. So now I'm going to look at Little Miss because the struggle is pretty much cut and paste from the actual game. It's not something new, and they try to package it like it's something additive to the game within the environment itself, but it's not. It's not even worth it. Worth purchasing if you're planning on purchasing the struggle. To be honest with you, you'd be wasting your money if you actually purchase the struggle. The only reason I have the struggle is because it came with the package of the entire Resident Evil Revelations 2 package. So this and Little Miss came along with the package. But if you were to purchase them individually with regards to the PlayStation Store, I wouldn't even waste time on the struggle. It's pathetic. That's what all guys say. It's if you want to do something like the raid feature, I would go for it. But if you want something more like campaign or what Claire and Barry did, it's not worth it at all. In fact, it's kind of pathetic that they even want to charge you for something that's already in the game and see if they could make extra money off of you or something that's actually present there and try to turn it around in a certain way and say, hey, we develop a new inclusion into the game, something new, but it's not really. It's just another repackage of how the raid mode is. They just added the timer onto it, and then they just give you certain weapons ahead of time, and then say that she was actually on the island for this long with this guy, when it really isn't. They just removed the Claire character and then put in the NPC character what was within the campaign and having move around and talk just like he did within the campaign, but instead of having him as an NPC and just having him regularly talk. But in all truth, it's the same thing. They just made his animation set for his NPC not be stationed to AI only. They just stationed it as now you're able to take control of the NPC. But to be honest with you, all NPCs are the same. They just don't have that code attached to them to say you could play as an NPC and switch back and forth. They just added the switch back and forth to the NPC, so it's not like it's something new. It's something that's already done that was done with Claire and Barry, with Moira and with Natalia. So that's it. But I'm gonna do Little Miss and see how that goes, and see if there's anything really different there with Little Miss. If not, this game is, as I said it before, I had it at a 5.3, and then I was going to give it 2 points for the DLCs, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it 2 additional points for the DLCs. And I haven't seen anything special with regards to doing missions and DLCs. It's kind of poor, to be honest with you. So, 5.5. I believe it's a 5.5. If Little Miss is a little bit more entertaining, it's going to get 5.6. If I see new features within Little Miss that I haven't seen within in the struggle, then I'll give it probably 5.6. But I doubt it. I think these 2 added DLC content are simply a copy and paste. Nothing more. They didn't really create anything. They just copy it and paste.
Natalia. I'm Lottie. Nice to meet ya.
Nice to meet you too. Lottie? Lottie? Where did you go? What's the matter, Natalia? Huh? You look just like me. Oh, but I am you. Now, tell me why you're so upset. I can't find Lottie. She's my friend. Wow, what a coincidence. I have a postcard from Lottie. Right here.
Dear Natalia, why did you leave me behind? Don't you love me anymore? I'm all alone now. I'm so sad. I might tear my eyes out.
I didn't leave her behind. I would never. Then you'd better tell her. She sounds like a bear on the edge. Let's see if we can pick up Lottie's trail. A monster. What do we do? It'll kill you if it sees you. It won't see me. I'll be careful. Watch it. There's another one up ahead. Really? Where? I don't see anything. I can see them. Want me to show you where? But it's too dangerous.
Okay, so I'm starting to get pissed off now because these so-called added DLCs is just the same
I'm not
thing.
afraid.
It's the same thing that you play in the main story game. They just took out the capabilities of the character in order to do the same move that she's always done through the campaign and now put it into a duplicate of herself, which is basically her. They just added two versions of herself in the game and then made the same powers that she had put into this character, and then made this character, or the character who's all obviously herself, given the power that she's always had, and then basically saying it's Dark Natalia. All right, she had the power of darkness within her the whole time, but now they're instead of her having the power of darkness within her, now putting the personification of the darkness outside of her as a secondary character. There's nothing special about this other character. It's just her and her same moves that she's always done. Nothing new.
They can't hurt me. Come with me. Right. What a shame. Let's see if we can pick up Lottie's trail. A monster. What do we do? It'll kill you if it sees you. It won't see me. I'll be careful. Watch it. There's another one up ahead. Really? Where? I don't see anything. I can see them. Want me to show you where? It's too dangerous. I'm not afraid. They can't hurt me. Are you really me? I am. But how is that possible? Who cares? You need to worry about Lottie. She's all you have left, right? Stay close. Stay right where I can see you. I will. What a shame! Stay close. Stay right where I can see you. I will. Stay close. Stay right where I can see you. I will. remember what happened on this island?
No, just that it was something bad.
Alright, so that's all I need to know in regards to this game. There are two features. There's this feature, and then there was the struggle. So this is all about stealth, staying away from enemies, not about fighting, escaping without interacting with enemies. Whereas the struggle, you get to use guns and everything, but it's simply a carbon copy paste of the actual campaign. Why call those things DLC? It's not like it's a fleshed out story. It's not a story. It's just a couple of words that they decided to make extra text, and then they added towards the little miss and the struggle. It's the same thing within the game, the same moves, the same weapons, same everything. So there's not a lot going on with the DLC content. It's just you get to play an extra mode, which is not really a mode. It's like you're actually playing the campaign itself, but you're just playing a kind of a side story, but that's not really a side story. It's more like someone speaking a bunch of text, and then they have an animation of the characters moving around like they do in the main game. And then the words are moving through their mouth, but they're not actually saying anything with relations to the words. The only thing that's different from the campaign is that the intro movie for both Little Miss and Struggle were created, and that the intro animations within the actual game were created. And I'm pretty sure the ending will be the same as well. But as regards for the gameplay and the type of things you do within the game are pretty much the same as what you did within the campaign or what you did within Raid. So I'm not going to give it points for things that I've already seen, already done, and location maps and the appearance and the capabilities of the game, same as with Natalia. Dark Natalia is no different from Natalia. It's just they take her personification and put it next to her with the same abilities that she had before. The pointing, so it's the same thing. So I'm just going to give it points for creating an extra mode so people could play, but it's not anything special I haven't seen before. So my final rating for this game, because I don't need to finish the struggle on Little Miss. I already know what's going to happen. It's going to be a lesser version of the campaign. That's all it is. It's going to be something less. A beginning that's not even that good, just for both of them that weren't that good, and an ending that probably will be equal and not as good. But I'm giving it points for just being in the game and having those features for you to do. So 1 point for that, and then for Little Miss, 1 point for Little Miss. I subtracted a point from Struggle and for Little Miss for being carbon copy paste of their actually selves within the campaign. But I actually gave an extra point for not only the labor for doing it, but for actually the inclusions of voice acting within the story and animation. So if I'm going to give points for this game with regards to extra content, I would simply give it points for the actual continuation animation, which is 1 point for both of these. Because they did both of these, I'm pretty sure they did both of these at the same time. Even if they didn't do it at the same time, it's not like the animations are long, but someone had to invest in doing the animation, so I'm giving them both 1 point for individual animations. So that's 2 points towards the DLC already. So I was at a 5.3. I'm now at a 5.5 with the game, and then I'm going to give it another 2 points with regards to actually creating certain stories, like a miniature story within both of these. Someone had to do dialect, the voice acting for this. So someone had to go through the actual story and create something that made sense with regards to this. Someone give it 2 points for that, so that'll bring the game up to like a 5.7. And then I'll give it another 2 points for adding some, like for the struggle, adding the ability to depend on food rations for your survival, or in this case, depend on Natalia for your survival. Natalia's not affected because Natalia is not there, and it's all about stealth. So it's an interesting thing that they added towards the game, but it's not like it wasn't in the game as well. So I give them 2 points to that for the game for that. So that's a 5.8, 5.9. But like I said, I took points away, like 2 points from both of these, because they didn't flesh out or they didn't give you anything new. They just carbon copy paste from the game in regards to this. So those 2 points they're taken from both the struggle and Little Miss are for them not actually adding anything new, just carbon copying paste everything from the actual campaign and then put it into the actual game and then make it seems like it's added DLC content, but it's not really. It's the same thing that was within the campaign. They just cut it up and put it differently. So that 5.9 is back to a 5.7 in my opinion. Yeah, so all in all, I would say if I wasn't prejudiced towards this game with regards to certain things, if I was to look at this game from a more wholesome point of view, this game's a 6. This game is a 6, a 6.5. If I was considering my non-prejudice point of view, because in my opinion this is 5.7 after seeing everything in the DLC. But if I was to take myself out of the equation and give it a full 1, it will come around to about a 6 or a 6.5. Or slightly above a 6.5. It would be a 6.7. Yeah, so if I was to give this game a full 1, like I said before, if I was to give this game a full 1 on top of the points that, from my personal point of view with regards to this game, because I'm logging this game as a 5.7 based on DLC and everything else with regards to the campaign and everything else. But if I was to give it a full 1, like I said before in the past video, that it doesn't earn, but me taking myself out of the game and giving it an overall score as an enjoyment factor, as an audience enjoyment factor, not as a gamer enjoyment factor, I would give it a full 1, so that 5.7 would be 6.7. That's the only logical thing I could think of, because I'm pretty sure I could deduct points even more from that campaign and even more from the DLC. But whatever I deduct from that campaign and DLC, if I really wanted to dig even deeper, because I'm not going to dig even deeper. I mean, I'm pretty sure I found everything. I don't need to end the actual DLC to know how it ends. How it started and how it played out is pretty much all I needed to know is how it's going to end. Just like I did with the campaign. How the campaign started with Claire, with Barry, is pretty much how I'm figuring it was going to end. It's going to be more action oriented in the end, but it was going to be the same mechanics of the gameplay, just done in a different way. And it'll be the same for the DLC, more action oriented, but with the same mechanics in the game. That's why I said, from a non-prejudicial point of view as a gamer, it's a 6.7. That's the highest I will give this game, a 6.7. From my original ranking as a personal gamer, based on everything I've seen, is a 5.7. So that's my ending towards Resident Evil Revelations 2. That's all. I'm not going to go through that struggle, and I'm not going to go through Little Miss. I mean, it feels like I'm actually forcing myself to play both of them when I know they're not that interesting. So it kind of leave a bitter taste in my mouth. So if I was to take points even off for lack of enjoyment factor, it would fall down to a 6.6 for the ability to actually not entertain me the way I wanted to. But I'm not going to do that because, like I said, I'm taking myself out of the equation and giving it a full points that it doesn't deserve. So an overall audience score would be a 6.7 if I wasn't me. But even me not being me, people have given this game in the 7s and even in the 8s. And those people are wrong. They don't know jack shit about games. It's like the guy that just hired me the other day to do a job, willing to underpay me, even though he knew I worked 4 or 5 years within the industry I've worked in, willing to pay me as a newbie, like a person who just got into the industry and what I was doing, and giving the take it or leave it mentality, knowing full well I had 4 or 5 years experience. But his answer was take it or leave it. That's the type of people that judge these video games. Very smart, very professional people, but in common sense, they're dumb. Alright? Logic and common sense, how to evaluate things, they're dumb. Alright? You know why there's a word called smart stupid people? Because they're very smart people. They have plaques and everything on their wall, but go outside those intelligent things when it comes to common sense decision making. That's obviously not common. Common sense isn't common. They make stupid decisions. They want freedom, but they don't want to do the things to make themselves free. They want to be open and free to do whatever the hell they want, even though they know the dangers that are around them. You have to be self-aware of the world that you're in. You cannot do stupid things simply because you want freedom. Alright? If you want absolute freedom away from pain and suffering, you're in a different world. You have to blame your parents for bringing you into this world for that. And if you can't blame your parents for bringing you into a world where suffering exists, you have to accept it in a certain way and deal with it. And then make sure you never have kids. That's the only answer to solving the problems of not passing on suffering. Not have kids. Because if you have kids, then they will pass on the same suffering, and so on and so forth. Suffering never goes away. If you believe that's not the solution, then you're living in a deluded world, because you will suffer until your last days on this world, and they will suffer until their last days in this world. And no matter how much you say some point is smart stupid people, guess what? More smart stupid people are gonna show up, and more smart stupid people are gonna show up, and more and more and more, and they will believe that they are more intelligent than you, and they will believe that have more common sense than you, and they believe this is for the better because they're seeing things as in the long game, which makes more sense. They're not seeing things as in what's common sense in the here and now, also relevant to the long game. They're only seeing the long game point of view, or the overall value point of view for the long game, not the value that it has in now in attachment to the long game. If you're pissing off the people now when it comes to games, then you're messing it up. You're screwing it up. So that even if you achieve what you meant to achieve in the long game, you pissed people off the process before you got there, which means you fucked it up before you achieved it at the end. So, Resident Evil Revelations 2, in my opinion, it's a subpar game. It's entertaining. It's above average, but it's not worth the value that people claim it to be on GameStop, Game Informer, GameSpot, Reddit, whoever, Metacritic. No, I don't care about. It's an old game. This game came out like 4 or 5 years ago. It's not fucking old. All right. Once you're still in the 5 years category, you're not old. Once you're in the 7, 8 year category, 9-year category, 10-year category, then you're old. Once you pass the 5s, if you pass 5 years, if you pass 4 years, and you hit the 5-year category, you're old when it comes to the industry of entertainment. But if you're still within the 3 to 4 year category, you haven't hit that 5th year yet, your game is not fucking old. I'm sorry, it's not old. This game has hit its 5th year. It came out in, I believe, 2015, 2016. All right, barely scratched the surface when it comes to be describing as old. It hasn't hit its full 6-year marker yet, so it's still in its 5th year if you think about it. So this is not an old game. Warframe is an old game. Fortnite is an old game. You know, those games have gone past their 5-year marker. You know, whatever else is the older game. The old Resident Evil 5 that came out before this is an old game. Those games you could have reason and excuse for. You know, I see certain people give Resident Evil Revelation a higher value than Resident Evil 5. You know, why? That game came out way before this game. Or a little bit before this game. You know, I'm not going to make excuses for this game. I'm going to compare this game within this 5-year bracket. It's like I would do any game that came out within a 5-year bracket, or a 2-year bracket, or a 3-year bracket, or a 10-year bracket, or a 20-year bracket. I'm not going to compare a 20-year-old game to a 10-year-old game. And I'm not going to compare a 10-year-old game to a 5-year-old game. Alright? That's stupidity. Alright, so I hate when people make excuses for a game that hasn't even been out that long to be considered old. If you've gone past your 5 years, you're old. If you're still within the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 years, your game isn't fucking old. This game has barely gone past its 5th year. It would be considered old now, but it's not really considered that old. 5 years ago isn't that long ago. 10 years, 20 years ago is long ago. 15 years ago is long ago. 7 years is long ago. 8 years is long ago. 5 years isn't freaking long ago. 4 years isn't freaking long ago. Okay? 4 years is the amount of time for which you were in high school as a freshman, and then you graduate high school as a senior. That's 4 years. Alright? If you went into college and in your freshman year in college, in your 5th year of your freshman year in college, or your sophomore year, and say, oh man, high school was long ago. No, it wasn't. You being a freshman wasn't long ago. If you're just a freshman in college compared to a freshman when you were in high school, then it would be considered long because now you're in your 5th of your year from your first year of your high school. 5 years, a full 5 after 5 years is long ago. After 4 years, it's not long ago. All right. After 5 years is long ago. Not after 4 years. If you were a freshman in high school and you graduated as a senior, you haven't got to your college year which falls within your 5th year. Once you're within your college year, which falls within your 5th year, then you could say, well, when I was a freshman just coming into high school, that was long ago. Because you fall within the 5th year category. This game has just passed its 4-year category and kind of is still in its 5th year. It hasn't passed its 5th year yet. So yes, this game is kind of old, but it's not that old to be considering the faults that it has. So this game is a 6.7 overall, and in my opinion, is a 5.7. So that's it for Resident Evil. I'm not going to waste my time with the struggle, and I'm not going to waste my time with Little Miss. The game is good. It's a good game, overall game. As something that you purchase and play every now and again if you feel like it. Or if you just want a collection of Resident Evil games. Is it the best Resident Evil game? Hell no. Resident Evil 2 Remake is better. The original Resident Evil 2 is better. The original Resident Evil 1 is better. Resident Evil 1 Remake is better. Resident Evil 4 is better. Resident Evil 7 is better. Even Resident Evil 8, the new one, which is kind of shitty, is better than this. But that's new, so it gets a pass of that. Resident Evil Revelations 1 is better, in my opinion. The first Revelations, which I haven't done, but I probably will do. In fact, I think I might actually do. I'll do that this month. But I'm also doing Hunt Showdown, so that's it. Oh yeah, and Resident Evil Code Veronica. I would say this is slightly above Resident Evil Code Veronica. And if this is slightly above Resident Evil Code Veronica, then I mean that's not something to be proud of. because Code Veronica was pretty damn awesome when it came out a long time ago. And for the people who played it at the time, they loved it. It might remind them of Resident Evil 2 with Claire and Leon, but it just felt like playing Claire and Leon all over again, but this time it was Claire and Chris. But it basically was Resident Evil 2, but with Claire and Chris and the Veronica virus. That's all that it was. And Revelations is only better than that because Revelations came out like years later after Code Veronica. So it gets a pass for that simply because it came out years. Just like I wouldn't compare Resident Evil 8 to Revelations. So, yeah. But there are tons of Resident Evil games, older games than this game. Very older game than this game that's better than Revelations, so they should have known about that. And there are newer games such as Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resident Evil 8, which are, to my opinion, are kind of pathetic. And Resident Evil 3, I would say it would be, when it comes to the value of that game, it's on par with Resident Evil 3, the original Resident Evil 3. I'm comparing their same score and saying they're equally the same score, because no matter the amount of animation features and everything added to this new Resident Evil, it really isn't better than the original Resident Evil. And to have the same score as in my opinion, as the original Resident Evil 3, it's slightly was able to accomplish certain new things. But in all truth, everyone knows the original Resident Evil 3 is better. I know the original Resident Evil 3 is better. And if I know the original Resident Evil 3 is better than the remake Resident Evil 3, then that remake of Resident Evil 3 is better than this game, Resident Evil Revelations 2. And I know Revelations 1 is better than this. So this game does not belong in those 7 category or 8 category. This is a 6.7 game overall, and my score is a 5.7. But I'm going to take myself out of the equation and give it a 6.7. So that's it for this game. Not putting myself through any more struggles to try to explain the logic of this game. I didn't feel great about struggling. I didn't feel great about Little Miss. I'm not going to try to feel and make excuses for this game. This game is slightly above average, did its job, did it good, and falls short of certain things. And that's what I think about Resident Evil Revelations 2. It's worth a buy, but it ain't better than all the Resident Evil games, so that's all I gotta say. So I'm done.